There is someone who may genuinely see a future with you. They may have imagined your presence in their life, thought about what it would feel like to choose you, to build something real, peaceful, and lasting with you. And yet, something keeps stopping them. They come close, then pull away. They feel something, but hesitate. They may want you, but fear, timing, family, circumstances, uncertainty, or something buried deep within their heart keeps standing between desire and decision. But what if this distance is revealing something you need to understand? In Islam, we are reminded that the heart, the future, and the unseen belong to Allah. What looks like a delay may carry wisdom. What feels like rejection may be protection. And what you desperately want today may need to unfold differently, or may not be written for you at all. So if someone seems to want a future with you, but something keeps holding them back, don't ignore what their hesitation is showing you, because love alone is not always enough to build a future. In this video, we're going to explore what may be happening when someone has feelings for you but cannot move forward, how to distinguish sincere intention from emotional uncertainty, and most importantly, how to protect your heart while placing your trust in Allah's plan. And stay until the end, because the final reminder may completely change the way you view this person, this delay, and the future you've been praying for. If you believe Allah's timing carries wisdom even when you cannot yet understand it, subscribe, like this video, and comment, "I trust Allah's plan." Now, let's begin. Because sometimes, the person may want you, but Allah may be asking you to look beyond what they want and pay attention to what they are actually willing to do. 1. They see a future with you, but they aren't strong enough to build it. One of the biggest mistakes people make in love is believing that strong feelings automatically mean strong commitment. They do not. A person can care about you deeply and still not be ready to build a life with you. They can miss you every day. They can think about you before they sleep. They can imagine you as their husband or wife. They can picture a home with you, children with you, peaceful mornings with you, and years of life beside you. And all of those feelings may be real, but feelings are only one part of marriage. Marriage needs more than love. It needs courage. It needs responsibility. It needs patience. It needs honesty. It needs sacrifice. It needs stability. It needs someone who can make difficult choices even when they are afraid. That is where many people become confused. They think, if this person loves me, then surely they will choose me. But love does not always make a person ready. Sometimes someone loves you, but they are still afraid of commitment. Sometimes they care about you, but they are not ready to take responsibility for another person's heart. Sometimes they want a future with you, but they are not strong enough to face the problems that stand in the way. And this is painful, because their feelings can keep giving you hope. They may say, "I want to marry you one day." They may say, "I cannot imagine losing you." They may tell you, "You are the person I want in my future." And when you hear words like that, your heart naturally believes something beautiful is coming. You start imagining the life they are describing. You start believing that all you need to do is wait. You tell yourself that one day they will become ready. One day they will speak to their family. One day their financial situation will improve. One day they will become more confident. One day they will stop being afraid. One day they will finally take the step you have been waiting for. But be careful with the words "one day," because a person can keep you waiting for a future they have never truly started building. This is why you must not only listen to what they say, you must also watch what they do. If someone tells you they want a future with you, ask yourself, are their actions moving in that direction? Are they becoming more serious? Are they becoming clearer? Are they talking about real steps? Are they dealing with the problems that are stopping them? Are they trying to make the relationship more honorable and pleasing to Allah? Are they taking responsibility for their life? Are they becoming emotionally stronger? Are they making decisions instead of constantly avoiding them? Because saying, "I want you," is easy. Building a future is harder. A person may love the idea of being with you, but loving the idea is not the same as being prepared for the responsibility. Imagine someone standing in front of a beautiful house. They love the house. They dream about living there. They imagine every room. They imagine waking up there every morning. But they never pick up the tools. They never start building. They never make a plan. They never take a single serious step. How long can you keep calling that a future? At some point, dreams must become actions. And marriage is the same. It cannot live forever in words. It cannot survive only through promises. It cannot be built on maybe later. Marriage requires two people who are willing to move from emotion into responsibility. And responsibility is not always romantic. Sometimes responsibility means having difficult conversations. Sometimes it means saving money. Sometimes it means speaking to family. Sometimes it means fixing bad habits. Sometimes it means healing from old wounds. Sometimes it means admitting, "I am not ready yet, and I need to work on myself." Sometimes it means making a clear decision when staying confused feels easier. This is why readiness matters. A person may have a good heart and still not be ready. A person may love you and still be unable to give you the kind of marriage you need. And that does not always make them a bad person. But it does mean you must see the situation honestly. You cannot build a peaceful future using only someone's good intentions. Good intentions are beautiful, but they need action. A person may intend to change. They may intend to become stronger. They may intend to become more responsible. They may intend to marry you. But if nothing changes for months or years, intentions alone cannot protect your heart. This is where many people begin to suffer. They stop loving the person who exists today and start loving the person they believe that person could become. They think they could be so good if they healed. They could become such a good spouse if they became more serious. They could become responsible once they get a better job. They could change after marriage. They could become closer to Allah once life settles down. Maybe. But maybe is not enough to build your life on. You have to be careful not to fall in love with someone's potential more than their present character. Because potential can make almost anyone look perfect. You can imagine the best version of them. You can imagine them becoming patient, disciplined, loyal, emotionally mature, spiritually strong, financially responsible, and completely certain about you. But right now, who are they? That question matters. How do they behave today? How do they respond to pressure today? How do they communicate today? How do they treat your feelings today? How do they handle responsibility today? Do they keep their word? Do they respect your time? Do they give you clarity? Do they move closer to Allah when things become difficult, or do they simply run from every hard decision? Marriage will not magically remove the weaknesses a person refuses to face. In fact, marriage often reveals them more clearly. That is why you should not only ask whether someone loves you, ask whether they are growing into someone who can care for that love. Because there will be difficult days in marriage. There will be days when both of you are tired. There will be moments when you misunderstand each other. There may be financial stress. There may be family pressure. There may be sickness. There may be responsibilities that feel heavy. There will be times when feelings are strong. There will also be times when feelings are quiet. On those days, character matters. Patience matters. Mercy matters. Faith matters. Responsibility matters. Responsibility matters. Allah describes marriage as a place of tranquility, affection, and mercy. Think about what that means. A healthy marriage should not only give you excitement, it should slowly become a place where your heart can breathe. A place where you do not need to question everything. A place where you do not constantly wonder if the other person will disappear. A place where love is protected by responsibility. Because intensity and peace are not the same thing. Intensity can feel powerful. It can make you think about someone all day. It can make your heart race when they call. It can make you feel empty when they disappear. But that is not always peace. Sometimes that is uncertainty. Peace feels different. Peace is when you know where you stand. Peace is when words and actions match. Peace is when the person does not keep pulling you close and pushing you away. Peace is when you do not have to beg for basic clarity. Peace is when someone handles your heart with care. So ask yourself honestly, does this person only make me feel deeply, or do they also make me feel safe? That question can reveal a lot. And if the answer is uncomfortable, do not ignore it. You may be telling yourself, they are just scared. Maybe they are, but fear still has consequences. You may say, they have been hurt before. Maybe they have, but healing is still their responsibility. You may say, their family is making things difficult. That may be true, but they still need to decide how they will face that difficulty. You may say, they are not financially ready. That can be a real problem. But are they working toward stability, or only using it as a reason to avoid making any plan? You see, the problem is not always that someone has obstacles. Everyone has obstacles. The important question is whether they face those obstacles or hide behind them. A person who is serious may move slowly, but you can usually see movement. They become more honest. They start planning. They start improving. They take small but real steps. They stop giving you empty promises and begin giving you clear direction. But someone who is not ready may keep repeating the same words while remaining in the same place. I just need more time. I am trying. I don't want to lose you. I still see a future with you. And months later, nothing has changed. This is where you need wisdom. Patience is beautiful, but waiting without any direction can become painful. Understanding someone is kind, but understanding them should not mean forgetting yourself. You can have compassion for their fear without allowing their fear to control your life. You can care about their struggle without making their struggle your responsibility. You can make dua for their growth without putting your entire future on hold. And you can love someone without becoming responsible for making them ready. That last part is important. You cannot make another person ready for marriage. You cannot love them enough to remove all their fears. You cannot be patient enough to create courage inside them. You cannot constantly reassure them until they suddenly become emotionally mature. You cannot keep proving your worth until they finally decide to choose you. Their growth belongs to them. Their courage belongs to them. Their decision belongs to them. You can support someone. You can support someone. You can advise someone. You can pray for someone. But you cannot become the strength they refuse to develop for themselves. And sometimes, this is the lesson Allah is teaching you. You are not being asked to save this person. You are not being asked to carry them into a future they are not ready to enter. You are not being asked to spend years proving that you are worthy of being chosen. You are being asked to look at the situation with honesty. Maybe they really love you. Maybe their feelings are sincere. Maybe they truly imagine a future with you. But if they are not ready to build that future, then you must accept the difference between love and readiness. One can exist without the other. And that truth can protect you from waiting forever for someone who keeps loving you in words, but never learns how to love you through responsibility. So stop asking only, do they want me? Ask something stronger. Are they becoming ready for what they say they want? Are they learning how to make hard decisions? Are they facing their fears? Are they growing in faith? Are they becoming more responsible? Are their actions moving closer to their words? Because anyone can dream about a future. Anyone can say they do not want to lose you. Anyone can imagine how beautiful marriage could be. But the person who is truly ready begins to build. Slowly perhaps. Imperfectly perhaps. With fear perhaps. but they move. And if someone keeps telling you that they want a future with you while refusing to take even the first real steps toward it, then maybe the problem is no longer whether they care. Maybe the problem is that they are not yet strong enough to carry what they feel. And your heart deserves enough honesty to know the difference. 2. The biggest obstacle isn't their life. It's their decision. Sometimes the problem really is life. Sometimes the timing is difficult. Sometimes family pressure is heavy. Sometimes money is tight. Sometimes someone is carrying responsibilities you cannot fully see. Sometimes they are trying to finish their education, build their career, support their parents, heal from something painful, or deal with a situation that makes marriage feel difficult right now. These things are real. You should not ignore them. But you also need to understand something very important. A real obstacle and a lack of decision are not the same thing. A real obstacle creates difficulty. Indecision creates confusion. When someone is serious but facing a real problem, you may not see fast progress, but you usually see direction. They explain what is happening. They tell you what needs to change. They take responsibility. They make a plan. They work on the problem. They try to move things forward, even if the steps are small. But when someone is simply unsure, everything stays unclear. One day, they sound certain. The next day, they need space. One week, they talk about marriage. The next week, they say they are confused. They tell you they do not want to lose you, but they also do nothing to make the relationship clearer. And this creates a painful cycle. They come close when they feel you slipping away. Then they become distant again when they feel safe that you are still there. You start thinking something outside of them is causing all of this. But sometimes the biggest obstacle is not outside. It is inside them. They have not decided. And because they have not decided, your heart is forced to live inside their uncertainty. This is where you need to be very honest with yourself. If someone truly wants a future with you, difficulty may slow them down, but it should not keep them permanently standing still. There should be movement. Maybe they cannot marry you tomorrow. That does not mean they cannot show seriousness today. They can communicate clearly. They can explain what they are working toward. They can stop giving you mixed signals. They can respect your time. They can be honest about what they can and cannot offer. They can take steps to prepare themselves. That is different from someone who keeps repeating the same words while changing nothing. I just need more time. Things are complicated. I don't want to lose you. I still see you in my future. These words can sound comforting, but after a while, you have to ask a difficult question. What does more time actually mean? A month? A year? Several years? What is changing during that time? What is being solved? What is the plan? Because time by itself does not fix indecision. Sometimes, time only makes indecision longer. And this is where many people get trapped. They think waiting is proof of love. They think patience means staying no matter how unclear things become. They believe leaving would mean they did not care enough. But patience in Islam does not mean accepting endless confusion. Patience does not mean allowing someone to keep your heart in the same uncertain place forever. Patience has wisdom. Patience has boundaries. Patience still looks at reality. You can be patient with someone's circumstances, but you should also look at how they handle those circumstances. Do they become more responsible? Or do they become more vague? Do they communicate more honestly? Or do they disappear whenever the conversation becomes serious? Do they try to solve the problem? Or do they only talk about how difficult the problem is? Do they make you feel included in the truth of the situation? Or do they expect you to keep waiting without knowing anything? These questions matter, because a person who is serious may not have all the answers, but they usually understand that your heart deserves clarity. They do not keep you emotionally close simply because they are afraid of losing you. That is one of the biggest signs of maturity. Real care is not only saying, Please do not leave me. Real care also says, I do not want to waste your time. Real care says, I need to be honest about what I can offer. Real care says, I am struggling, but I do not want my struggle to become your prison. That is very different from someone who wants your presence, but avoids the responsibility of choosing you. And sometimes, that is exactly what is happening. They do not want to lose you, but they are also not ready to commit. So they keep you close enough to feel secure. They message when you start becoming distant. They become emotional when they think you are moving on. They remind you of the future you once talked about, and for a moment, your hope comes back. Then once they feel you are still there, the urgency disappears again. This pattern can continue for months, sometimes years, and the reason it continues is simple. They are afraid to choose, and you are afraid to leave. So both people stay in the same place. One is afraid of commitment. The other is afraid of losing the possibility, and the connection survives through hope rather than clarity. This is why you have to ask yourself something powerful. If nothing changed for the next year, would you still call this patience? If the same excuses came back, the same silence returned, the same promises were repeated, would you still believe this was moving forward? Sometimes we do not realize how long we have been waiting, because every emotional moment makes the situation feel new. But when you step back, you may notice that the pattern has not changed at all. The words are different. The result is the same. And that is important, because a person can care about you deeply and still keep you stuck. Not always because they are cruel. Sometimes they are simply afraid. Sometimes they are confused. Sometimes they do not know what they want. But their confusion still affects you. Their fear still affects you. Their lack of decision still costs you time, energy, and peace. And that is why you must stop only asking, why are they like this? Start asking, what is this situation doing to me? Are you becoming anxious? Are you constantly checking your phone? Are you afraid to move on because they might finally become ready? Are you avoiding other opportunities in life because part of your heart is still waiting? Are you emotionally committed to someone who has not committed to you? These are hard questions, but they can save you from wasting years. And here is another truth. Sometimes people say they cannot move forward because of family, but they never speak to their family. Sometimes they say they need financial stability, but they make no plan to become stable. Sometimes they say they need to heal, but they do nothing to heal. Sometimes they say they need more time, but they do not know what they are waiting for. This is where you have to separate a real problem from an excuse. A real problem usually leads to effort. An excuse usually leads to delay. A real problem sounds like, this is difficult, but here is what I am doing about it. An excuse sounds like, this is difficult, so nothing can change. Do not judge too quickly, but do not ignore patterns either. You are allowed to be compassionate without becoming blind. You are allowed to understand someone's situation without building your life around their uncertainty. You are allowed to say, I respect what you are going through, but I also need clarity. That is not pressure. That is honesty. And sometimes clarity brings an answer you did not want. Maybe they admit they are not ready. Maybe they say they do not know when they will be. Maybe they cannot promise a future. That will hurt. But pain with truth is often easier to heal from than hope without direction. Uncertainty can keep you emotionally trapped because you are always waiting for the next sign, the next message, the next promise, the next conversation, the next moment where they suddenly sound serious again. But when you finally accept the reality of the situation, something changes. You stop living from one signal to the next. You stop asking yourself what every silence means. You stop trying to decode someone who refuses to become clear. And you give your heart room to breathe again. Remember this. You should not have to force someone to make a decision about your place in their life. You can ask for clarity. You can have a serious conversation. You can give reasonable time. You can show understanding. But after that, the decision belongs to them. And if they keep refusing to decide, that itself becomes information. Because not choosing is also a choice. Silence can be a choice. Delay can be a choice. Avoidance can be a choice. And sometimes, the answer is not hidden. Sometimes, you simply do not want to accept the form in which the answer has arrived. So if someone keeps telling you that life is holding them back, look at what they are doing with their life. Are they fighting for growth? Are they becoming more ready? Are they taking real steps? Are they giving you honest direction? Or are they asking you to remain emotionally available while they stay exactly the same? That difference matters. A serious person may be delayed, but they do not keep you permanently confused. A serious person may be afraid, but they still try to move. A serious person may face obstacles, but they do not use those obstacles to avoid every responsibility. So maybe the biggest problem is not the circumstances. Maybe the biggest problem is that they have not decided what they are willing to do for the future they say they want. And you cannot make that decision for them. You cannot carry their courage. You cannot choose on their behalf. You cannot spend your whole life waiting for someone to become certain. At some point, you must let their actions speak. Because love without direction becomes exhausting. Hope without movement becomes painful. And patience without clarity can slowly turn into self-neglect. So do not only ask whether something is holding them back. Ask whether they are doing anything to move through it. That answer will tell you far more than their words ever will. 3. Every delay may be revealing something you need to see. Sometimes you keep asking Allah to remove the obstacle. But perhaps the obstacle is not there only to block the path. Perhaps it is there to show you something. This is difficult to accept, because when you really want someone, you naturally focus on the future you hope to have with them. You think about how good things could become if the problem disappeared, if their family agreed, if their fear went away, if their money improved, if they healed, if they became more serious, if the timing became easier, if the timing became easier. Your mind keeps looking beyond the problem, but sometimes the problem itself is giving you important information. Because pressure reveals people. When life is easy, almost anyone can look calm, kind, loving, patient, and serious. But when something becomes difficult, character starts to show. That is when you see how someone handles stress, how they deal with fear, how they communicate when the answer is not easy, how they treat you when they are confused, how they act when life does not give them what they want immediately. And these things matter a lot, because marriage will not be a life without pressure. There will be difficult days. There may be financial stress. There may be family disagreements. There may be sickness. There may be moments of weakness. There may be plans that do not work. There may be times when one of you is tired, worried, angry, disappointed, or afraid. So if a person cannot handle a difficult situation now with honesty and responsibility, you should pay attention. Not because one bad moment makes someone a bad person, but because repeated behavior tells you something. Maybe they say they want a future with you, but whenever things become serious, they disappear. Maybe they care about you, but when pressure comes, they become cold. Maybe they speak beautifully about marriage, but when a hard conversation begins, they avoid it. Maybe they say they are confused, but instead of trying to understand their confusion, they leave you to carry it. And because you love them, you may keep explaining everything for them. You say, they are just stressed. They are afraid. They have been through a lot. They do not know how to express themselves. They need time. And maybe some of that is true. But there is a point where understanding someone's pain becomes an excuse for ignoring their pattern. That is where you must be careful. You can understand why someone behaves a certain way and still admit that the behavior is hurting you. You can have sympathy for their past and still recognize that their present choices matter. You can know that they are struggling and still ask whether they are handling that struggle in a healthy way. Because pain explains behavior. It does not always excuse it. And sometimes Allah allows you to see how someone behaves before marriage, because after marriage, those same patterns may become heavier. If they avoid communication now, what happens during a serious disagreement later? If they run from responsibility now, what happens when a family depends on them? If they disappear under pressure now, what happens when life becomes much harder? If they keep breaking promises now, why assume marriage will automatically change that? This is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It is about becoming wise. Love should not make you blind. Love should not make you ignore what is clearly in front of you. And one of the hardest things to understand is that sometimes you are not waiting for the obstacle to disappear. You are waiting for the person to become someone different. Think about that carefully. Maybe the real hope in your heart is not, "I hope things become easier." Maybe it is, "I hope they become braver. I hope they become more mature. I hope they become more responsible. I hope they become more consistent. I hope they become more serious about Allah. I hope they finally understand what they are doing to me." And hope can be beautiful. People can change. People can grow. People can become much better than they are today. But you should not build your future on change that has not happened yet, because you are not marrying potential. You are marrying a real person with real habits, real weaknesses, real patterns, real choices, real character. You have to look at who they are now, not only at who you believe they could become. This is where many people get hurt. They fall in love with someone's future version. They see the best in them. They see what they could become if they healed, if they became disciplined, if they became confident, if they stopped being afraid, if they became stronger in faith. And slowly, they stop judging the relationship by reality. They judge it by potential. But potential can keep you waiting for a very long time. You tell yourself, they are almost there. They are changing. They just need one more chance, one more month, one more conversation, one more sign. And every time the same pattern returns, you move the line again. This is why you have to ask yourself a strong question. What is this delay showing me? Not only, why is this happening? But, what am I learning from it? Maybe you are learning that this person is kind, but not ready. Maybe you are learning that they want love, but fear responsibility. Maybe you are learning that they speak well, but act slowly. Maybe you are learning that they become serious only when they think they are losing you. Maybe you are learning that they want emotional comfort more than commitment. Maybe you are learning that you have been ignoring things because you are afraid of the answer. And sometimes, the delay reveals something about you too. Maybe you have become too emotionally dependent on this person. Maybe your peace changes every time their mood changes. When they message you, you feel happy. When they disappear, your whole day feels heavy. When they sound hopeful, you feel close to Allah. When they become distant, you start losing focus. You check your phone again and again. You replay conversations. You wonder what you said wrong. You search for meaning in every small action. You let their attention decide whether you feel secure. And that is also something the delay may be revealing. Because your heart may have become too attached to a person. Not because caring is wrong, but because no human being should have that much control over your inner peace. Your heart needs a stronger center. And that center is Allah. Sometimes Allah allows uncertainty to remain long enough for you to notice how deeply you have attached your happiness to someone else's decision. You keep thinking, when they choose me, I will finally feel peaceful. When they become clear, I will finally feel secure. When this relationship moves forward, I will finally be happy. But peace that depends completely on another person is fragile. Because people change. People struggle. People disappoint. People become confused. Allah does not. And sometimes the delay is not only teaching you who they are, it is teaching you where your heart has gone. You may have started making them the answer to every prayer. You may have started imagining that your future only works if they are in it. You may have started believing that if this connection ends, something beautiful in your life ends with it. But Allah's plan is bigger than one person. That does not mean this person is not important. It means they are not Allah. They do not control your future. They do not decide your worth. They do not hold every door to happiness. And this is why you must be careful when you ask Allah for signs. Sometimes people pray, "Ya Allah, show me if this person is good for me." Then the person becomes more inconsistent, more distant, more confusing. Their character starts showing. Their words stop matching their actions. But instead of accepting what is being revealed, you keep asking for another sign. Why? Because you wanted a different answer. This happens often. We say we want guidance, but sometimes what we really want is confirmation. We want Allah to confirm the choice our heart has already made. But guidance does not always feel comforting. Sometimes guidance hurts. Sometimes clarity disappoints you. Sometimes Allah shows you something you were not ready to see. And sometimes what looks like a delay is actually protection. You may think, why is this taking so long? But maybe if everything had happened quickly, you would have entered a marriage before seeing the things you are seeing now. Maybe the delay gave you time to notice their habits, their honesty, their patience, their anger, their fear, their level of responsibility, their relationship with Allah, the way they treat you when they are upset, the way they behave when they cannot get what they want. These are important things, very important, because people do not become completely different after marriage. Marriage often makes existing patterns stronger. If someone communicates well now, that is a good sign. If someone avoids every difficult conversation now, do not assume a wedding will suddenly make them emotionally mature. If someone respects your boundaries now, that matters. If someone keeps crossing them and apologizing later, that matters too. If someone takes responsibility when they make a mistake, pay attention. If they blame everyone else, pay attention. If they keep their word, remember that. If their promises are always bigger than their actions, remember that too. These things may look small when you are emotionally attached, but they become very big inside marriage. So instead of only praying for the obstacle to disappear, pray for clear sight. Ask Allah to help you see the person as they are, not only as you hope they will become. Ask Him to protect you from making excuses for patterns that will hurt you later. Ask Him to show you what is real, because sometimes love makes you focus on the best moments. You remember how kind they were, how deeply they looked at you, how beautiful the conversation felt, how much they said they cared, and you start using those moments to explain everything else. But a healthy future is not built from someone's best moments alone. It is built from consistency. Anyone can be loving for an hour. Character is what remains over time. Anyone can make a promise when emotions are high. Character is what happens after the emotion becomes quiet. Anyone can say, "I will always be here." Character is whether they are there when the situation becomes difficult. This is why patterns matter more than isolated moments. Do not let one beautiful conversation erase months of confusion. Do not let one apology make you forget a repeated behavior. Do not let one emotional message convince you that everything has changed. Change has evidence. Growth has evidence. Maturity has evidence. And real growth is not just saying, "I understand now." It is behaving differently. Maybe the person you care about will grow. Maybe they will become stronger. Maybe they will face what they are avoiding. Maybe they will return with a different level of maturity. That is possible. but you do not have to pretend that change has already happened. You can leave that possibility with Allah. And while you do, judge the present by the present. Not by hope, not by fear, not by imagination. Look at what is real, because sometimes Allah does not remove the delay quickly because the delay itself is teaching you. It is teaching you patience. It is teaching you boundaries. It is teaching you discernment. It is teaching you not to confuse words with character. It is teaching you that strong feelings are not enough. It is teaching you to return your heart to Him. And maybe one day you will look back and understand why everything moved so slowly. Maybe you will realize that if the door had opened sooner, you would have walked through it without seeing what you needed to see. Maybe you will thank Allah for the delay, not because waiting was easy, but because waiting revealed the truth. So when something keeps holding a person back, do not only ask, when will this problem end? Ask, what is this problem revealing? What is it showing you about them? What is it showing you about yourself? What is it teaching you about patience, responsibility, faith, character, and attachment? Because every delay is not meaningless. Sometimes a delay is a mirror. And sometimes, Allah lets you stand in front of that mirror long enough to finally see what love was making you ignore. 4. Stop fighting for what Allah never asked you to chase. There comes a point when trying harder is no longer an act of love. It becomes fear. Fear of losing them. Fear that if you stop reaching out, they will forget you. Fear that if you create distance, someone else will take your place. Fear that if you finally walk away, they will suddenly become ready after you are gone. And perhaps the deepest fear of all is this: what if this person was meant for me, and I ruined everything because I stopped waiting? That thought can keep someone trapped for a very long time. You tell yourself you are being patient. You tell yourself that love requires sacrifice. You tell yourself that difficult things take time. And sometimes that is true. But there is a difference between patiently allowing something good to develop and constantly trying to keep something alive because you are terrified of losing it. Maybe you are always the one starting the conversation. Maybe you are always the one trying to understand. Maybe you are always the one forgiving another period of silence. Maybe you keep lowering your expectations because you do not want them to feel pressured. Maybe you tell yourself not to ask difficult questions because you are afraid of pushing them away. So you wait. You adjust. You forgive. You explain. You give another chance. And then another. Until one day you realize that you are doing almost all the emotional work for a future that two people are supposed to build. That is when you need to ask yourself something. If I stopped carrying this connection, would it still move? If I stopped sending the first message, would they reach for me? If I stopped reminding them that I am here, would they remember what they said they wanted? If I stopped making excuses for their hesitation, would there actually be anything clear left? These questions can hurt, but sometimes you need to ask them, because a connection should not survive only because one person is constantly afraid to let it die. And this is where tawakkul becomes important. Tawakkul means trusting Allah while doing what is right. It does not mean sitting back and expecting life to happen without effort. Islam teaches us to act. If you are serious about marriage, take the right steps. Communicate honestly. Seek guidance. Speak to trusted people. Involve families at the proper time. Work on yourself. Make dua. Make istikhara. Do what you can in a way that pleases Allah. But after you have done what belongs to you, you must learn to leave what does not belong to you with Him. You cannot control another person's heart. You cannot force someone to become ready. You cannot make someone brave. You cannot make their family agree. You cannot force them to value what they are afraid to choose. And you cannot control the ending simply because you desperately want a certain one. There is a difference between effort and control. Effort says, I will do what is right, then trust Allah. Control says, I must make this work, whatever it costs me. Effort can exist with peace. Control creates exhaustion. And sometimes you do not realize you are trying to control the outcome because you call it love. You say, "I just don't want to give up on them." But maybe you are not giving up on them. Maybe you are finally giving the situation back to Allah. Those are not the same thing. There are moments in life when you have already explained yourself. You have already shown that you care. You have already given time. You have already listened. You have already tried to understand. You have already made dua. At some point, repeating the same effort does not create a different reality. It only makes you more tired. And perhaps Allah is not asking you to try harder. Perhaps He is teaching you to trust Him more. This is one of the hardest parts of faith. It is easy to trust Allah when the road is moving in the direction you wanted, when the person is getting closer, when the family agrees, when the plans are working, when every sign seems positive. Then saying, "Allah has a plan," feels easy. But what happens when nothing moves? What happens when you pray and still do not know? What happens when the person still hesitates? What happens when a door you desperately want refuses to open? That is when tawakkul becomes more than a word. Because now you have to decide whether you trust Allah only when His plan looks like yours. Maybe you have been making the same dua for months. Ya Allah, please make this person mine. There is nothing wrong with asking Allah for what you want. Tell Him what is in your heart. Ask Him sincerely. But there is an even deeper dua. Ya Allah, I want this person, but I want what you know is good for me more. That prayer requires courage. Because now you are not only asking Allah to give, you are giving Him permission in your heart to remove. You are saying, if this person will bring me closer to you, bring us together in goodness. But if this person will damage my faith, my peace, my character, or my future, protect me, even if protection hurts at first. That is surrender. And surrender is not weakness. Surrender to Allah can be one of the strongest things your heart ever does. Because sometimes we think the only beautiful answer to dua is receiving what we asked for. But Allah's protection can also be an answer. A closed door can be an answer. A delay can be an answer. Something being exposed can be an answer. Your heart slowly losing attachment can be an answer. You may not understand it immediately. You may even cry over the very thing Allah is protecting you from. That is the limitation of being human. You see what you want now. Allah knows what it could become later. You see the person when they are loving. Allah knows how they may behave under years of pressure. You see the chemistry. Allah knows the compatibility. You see the conversations. Allah knows the character. You see the dream. Allah sees the entire road. And that is why trust matters. Sometimes you are trying to force open a door because you can only see what is behind that door in your imagination. Allah knows what is actually behind it. Maybe there is goodness there. If so, Allah is capable of opening it. But maybe there is pain you cannot see yet. Maybe there is a future that would slowly weaken you. Maybe there are problems you would only discover after becoming deeply committed. Maybe there is something better on another road. You do not know. That is why you do not place your trust in the door. You place your trust in Allah. And when you truly understand this, something changes inside you. You stop believing that you must constantly chase what is meant for you. You stop thinking one missed message can destroy your destiny. You stop believing that setting a healthy boundary will make Allah's plan disappear. Think about that. If something good is truly written for you, do you believe honesty can steal it from you? Do you believe protecting your faith can destroy it? Do you believe refusing endless confusion can cancel what Allah has written? Your future is not that fragile. This does not mean every person you want will eventually become yours. It means you do not need to destroy your peace, trying to control what only Allah knows. If this person is good for you, and Allah wills that you come together, then the path will unfold according to His wisdom. Maybe not according to your timing. Maybe not exactly as you imagined, but you do not have to live every day terrified that one small decision will make you lose what Allah intended for you. And if they are not written for you, no amount of chasing can turn them into your destiny. You can send more messages, wait longer, give more chances, make more excuses, lower more boundaries, ignore more warning signs. But you cannot force something into your cutter by exhausting yourself. That should bring relief to your heart, because it means you are not responsible for controlling everything. You are responsible for your choices, your intention, your behavior, your boundaries, your relationship with Allah. The rest is not yours to carry. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understand that caring about someone does not mean chasing them forever. You can step back without hatred. You can become quiet without playing games. You can create distance without trying to punish them. You can stop reaching out without secretly hoping the silence will manipulate them into chasing you. This is important. Do not turn distance into another strategy to control them. Do not say, "I will disappear so they realize my value." That is still making your peace depend on their reaction. Real surrender sounds different. It says, "I am stepping back because this situation is no longer healthy for my heart, and whatever happens next belongs to Allah." If they come closer, you will observe their actions. If they stay away, you will accept the information. If they become serious, you will judge their seriousness by what has changed. If they move on, you will grieve and continue living. You are no longer using your behavior to force an outcome. You are choosing what is right and trusting Allah with the result. And if they return, do not immediately assume that returning means changing. People return for many reasons. Sometimes they are lonely. Sometimes they miss your attention. Sometimes they miss how safe you made them feel. Sometimes they fear seeing you move on. Sometimes distance makes them emotional. And sometimes, yes, they genuinely realize they are ready to do what they were once afraid to do. But you need to know the difference. Do not only listen for, "I miss you." Look for, "I am ready to take responsibility." Do not only listen for, "I still love you." Look for what has changed. Do not only listen for, "I made a mistake." Look for new behavior, because missing you is a feeling. Growth is a change. "I was scared," explains the past. It does not prove the future will be different. Real change leaves evidence. Maybe they used to avoid difficult conversations, but now they communicate clearly. Maybe they had no plan before, but now they have one. Maybe they kept everything hidden, but now they are ready to involve the right people. Maybe they were financially careless, but now they have taken real steps toward responsibility. Maybe they were distant from Allah, but now their faith has become a serious part of how they live. That is different. Words tell you what someone feels. Patterns tell you who they are becoming. And if nothing has changed except that they missed you, be careful about returning to the same cycle, because loneliness can make old confusion look like love. Sometimes the heart misses familiarity, even when familiarity was painful. You remember the good conversations, the laughter, the hope, the moments when you felt understood. You forget how many nights you spent wondering where you stood. So if they return, do not only ask whether you still love them, ask whether the situation is different. Has clarity replaced confusion? Has responsibility replaced excuses? Has action replaced promises? Has courage replaced avoidance? If not, you may simply be entering the same story from the first page, and you already know how that story made you feel. There is another fear you may need to release. What if someone else gets the version of them I waited for? That thought can hurt deeply. You may think, what if I supported them through their worst years, and after I leave, they finally become ready for someone else? Maybe they will. People grow. Life changes them. Sometimes, losing something valuable teaches a person what they refused to learn while they had it. But their future growth does not mean you were supposed to stay through unlimited pain until that growth happened. You are not required to sacrifice years of your peace just because someone may become ready eventually. Maybe your role in their life was part of what taught them. Maybe their role in yours was to teach you too. Not every meaningful person is meant to stay forever, and if they become better after you leave, wish them goodness. Their growth does not take anything away from you. Allah's provision for you is not reduced because another person became better for someone else. What Allah has prepared for you is still yours. Do not compare your future to theirs. Do not watch their life so closely that you stop living your own. Your story is still moving, and Allah is not limited to one person. Sometimes, you become so attached that you begin thinking, there will never be anyone like them. Maybe there will not be. Perhaps that is not a bad thing. Maybe the next person will not make you feel the exact same intensity. Maybe they will give you something you did not know you needed. Peace, clarity, consistency, respect. A relationship that does not require constant guessing. Someone who does not only tell you that you matter, but makes decisions that show it. Someone whose presence does not make you question yourself every week. Sometimes we become addicted to emotional intensity because we have forgotten how beautiful peace can feel. You do not need a love that keeps you anxious just to prove it is deep. And if Allah removes someone from your path, do not immediately assume you lost the best thing that could ever happen to you. You do not know what Allah is protecting. You do not know what He is preparing. You do not know who you will become after this chapter. Your job is not to know everything. Your job is to walk with Him. So if you are tired of fighting for someone's certainty, stop carrying what belongs to them. Their decision belongs to them. Their courage belongs to them. Their readiness belongs to them. Their growth belongs to them. And your heart belongs to Allah. Protect it. Do not let someone's hesitation become the center of your life. Do not spend every night trying to understand what they are thinking. Do not keep checking whether they are closer or farther away. Do not make your worship stronger only when you think Allah is bringing them back. Seek Allah for Allah. Ask for guidance because you want truth, not only because you want one particular ending. And if the answer is not what you hoped for, trust Him anyway. That is faith. Maybe Allah will bring this person back to you. Maybe the obstacle will disappear. Maybe everything will become clear. But if that happens, let it happen through something healthy, through responsibility, through honesty, through a path that respects your faith and your dignity. Not because you spent years chasing someone until they finally became tired of running. You do not want to be chosen because someone was pressured into choosing you. You want someone who understands the responsibility of the choice. And if that person cannot give you that now, let Allah deal with what you cannot change. You have a life to live, a faith to protect, a heart to strengthen, a character to build. A relationship with Allah that matters more than any relationship you could have with another human being. Do not lose all of that while trying to hold on to one uncertain possibility. Sometimes, the door you are exhausted from pushing is not asking for more strength. It is asking you to remove your hand. Not every closed door needs to be forced open. Sometimes you need to stand before Allah and say, Ya Allah, I have done what I can. You know what I want. You know what I feel. You know how deeply I care. If this is good for me, guide it toward me in a way that pleases you. And if it is not, guide my heart away from it without allowing me to lose myself. Then breathe, live, grow, worship, keep moving. If they are meant to walk beside you, you will deal with that reality when Allah brings it. But until then, do not stop your journey waiting for someone who is still deciding whether they want to begin theirs. Because what Allah has written for you does not need your desperation. It needs your trust. Do what is right. Leave what you cannot control with Him. And remember, sometimes the moment you stop fighting to control the ending is the moment your heart finally becomes free enough to accept whatever Allah has written next. 5. The moment you let go is the moment Allah can change your direction. Sometimes you think the only beautiful ending is the one where they finally choose you. After all the waiting, all the confusion, all the nights you wondered what they were thinking, you imagine the moment everything finally changes. They come back. They become certain. They tell you they are ready. The obstacle disappears. The family agrees. The fear is gone. The excuses end. And suddenly, everything you went through seems to make sense. Maybe you have imagined that moment many times. Maybe somewhere inside your heart, you are still waiting for it. You think, one day, they will understand. One day, they will realize what we have. One day, they will become ready. One day, Allah will remove whatever is stopping them. And maybe He will. Allah can change a situation completely. He can soften hearts that once seemed closed. He can open doors that seemed impossible. He can bring people together after distance. He can change circumstances in ways you could never plan. Never doubt the power of Allah. But do not confuse Allah's power with a promise that He will give you this specific person. Allah can bring them to you, but He may also be protecting you from them. He can open the door, but He may know that another door is better. He can change their heart, but perhaps the heart He is changing is yours. And sometimes that is the answer you never expected. Maybe the miracle is not that they finally choose you. Maybe the miracle is that one day you no longer need them to. Think about that. There may come a morning when you wake up and something feels different. Nothing dramatic happened. They did not send a long message. You did not receive every answer you wanted. You did not finally understand why they behaved the way they did. But your heart feels quieter. You no longer feel the same need to check your phone. You no longer wonder whether they viewed something you posted. You no longer search for hidden meaning in their silence. You no longer replay old conversations trying to find the moment everything changed. You no longer wake up wondering whether today will be the day they return. They may still cross your mind. You may still care. You may still remember beautiful moments. But the memories no longer control you. And for the first time in a long time, you realize something. You are moving again. That is also healing. That is also mercy. Sometimes Allah does not change the situation immediately. He changes what the situation has power over. At first, their silence could destroy your entire day. Later, it becomes something you can accept. At first, you needed answers. Later, you realize you can move forward without knowing everything. At first, you thought losing them meant losing the future you wanted. Later, you understand that your future was never held inside another person's hands. This is what letting go can look like. It does not always mean you stop loving someone overnight. It does not mean you suddenly feel nothing. It does not mean the memories disappear. Letting go means you stop asking the past to become your future. It means you stop allowing one person's uncertainty to decide the direction of your life. It means you stop waiting at a door that has not opened. And instead of demanding that Allah open that specific door, you begin asking Him to guide you toward whichever door is actually good for you. That is a very different prayer. Before, your dua may have sounded like, "Ya Allah, please give me this person." Now your heart begins to say, "Ya Allah, give me what is good for me, even if it is different from what I imagined." That is growth, because there is a difference between wanting Allah's help and wanting Allah to approve the plan you already created. Sometimes we make a complete future inside our minds. We choose the person. We imagine the marriage. We imagine the home. We imagine how everything will happen. Then we ask Allah to make that picture real. And when things do not move the way we expected, we become confused. Why is Allah not opening this door? But perhaps the deeper question is, why have you decided that this is the only door through which happiness can reach you? Allah is not limited to the future you imagined. You are. You can only imagine using what you already know. Allah knows what you have never seen. You know this person. Allah knows every person you have not met. You know this chapter. Allah knows the entire story. You know how deeply you feel today. Allah knows who you will become years from now. You know what you want. Allah knows what will actually be good for you. That is why letting go requires trust. You are not saying, "I no longer care." You are saying, "I care, but I trust Allah more than I trust my own understanding." And there is enormous strength in that, because sometimes you are holding on to someone not because the connection is healthy anymore, but because you are afraid of the empty space that will remain if you release them. Who will you think about? Who will you talk to? Who will understand you the way they did? What happens to all the dreams you created? What happens to all the hope you invested? What if you never feel this way again? These fears can make an uncertain connection feel safer than an unknown future. At least this person is familiar. At least you know their voice, their habits, their way of speaking, their good side, their difficult side. The future without them feels empty because you cannot see what will fill it. But empty does not always mean bad. Sometimes empty simply means something has not arrived yet. A room can feel empty before it becomes a home. A page can look empty before a beautiful story is written on it. A road can look empty because you have not walked far enough to see what is ahead. Do not confuse what you cannot see with what does not exist. Allah may have blessings ahead of you that your current attachment does not allow you to imagine. And one of the hardest things attachment does is convince you that this person is rare in a way that makes everyone else impossible. You tell yourself, "Nobody will understand me like them. I will never connect with anyone this deeply again. I will never find someone with these qualities." Maybe you will never meet someone exactly like them. But perhaps you are not supposed to. Maybe Allah does not replace people with copies. Maybe He introduces you to something different. Someone who gives you peace where this person gave you questions. Someone who gives you consistency where this person gave you intensity. Someone who gives you clarity where this person gave you mixed signals. Someone who does not only talk about a future with you, but is prepared to take responsible steps toward one. Someone whose affection does not leave you wondering whether you matter. Someone who helps you become closer to Allah instead of making your emotional life revolve around them. You may not understand how valuable that kind of peace is until you experience it. Because when you have lived inside uncertainty for too long, calm can almost feel strange. You become used to emotional highs and lows. One day they are close. You feel amazing. Then they become distant. You feel broken. Then they return. Hope comes back. Then they hesitate again. And because the emotions are so strong, you begin thinking the connection must be special. But intensity is not always depth. Sometimes intensity is uncertainty. When you never know where you stand, every small sign feels huge. A message feels more powerful because you waited days for it. A kind sentence feels unforgettable because you spent weeks wondering how they felt. Their return feels like destiny because their absence hurt so much. But ask yourself, would these small moments feel so powerful if you were receiving consistency every day? Sometimes you are not addicted to the person. You are addicted to the relief you feel when the uncertainty temporarily ends. That is why letting go can feel painful at first. Your heart has become used to waiting for the next moment of hope. When that cycle stops, there is silence. And silence can feel uncomfortable. But stay there. Do not immediately run back simply because peace feels unfamiliar. Give your heart time to learn a different rhythm. A rhythm where your happiness does not depend on whether someone messages you. A rhythm where your worship does not rise and fall with their attention. A rhythm where you can enjoy your day without checking for signs. A rhythm where you remember that you existed before this person entered your life. And you will exist after this chapter too. This is where your relationship with Allah becomes more important than ever. Because letting go creates space. And if you do not fill that space with something meaningful, your heart will keep trying to return to what was familiar. Fill it with Allah. Return to Salah with presence. Speak to Allah honestly in dua. Read the Quran, not only searching for an answer about this person, but seeking guidance for your whole life. Ask Allah to improve your character. Ask Him to prepare you for the marriage that will be good for you, whether it is with the person you once imagined or someone you have not met yet. Ask Him to remove unhealthy attachment without removing your ability to love. Ask Him to give you a soft heart without making you easy to mislead. Ask Him to give you patience without making you accept endless uncertainty. Ask Him to give you hope without making you attached to one outcome, because the goal is not to become cold. The goal is to become clear. You do not need to stop believing in love because one person could not choose you. You do not need to build walls around your heart. You do not need to become suspicious of everyone. You simply become wiser. Next time, you pay attention earlier. You listen to words, but you watch actions. You appreciate feelings, but you look for responsibility. You enjoy connection, but you do not make it your entire world. You give people room to be human, but you do not spend years waiting for basic clarity. You understand that a good heart is important, but a good heart also needs maturity, discipline, faith, and courage to build a marriage. And perhaps this person was part of how Allah taught you that. That does not make the connection meaningless. This is important. Sometimes people think that if a relationship does not end in marriage, then everything they felt was wasted. Not necessarily. Some people enter your life and stay. Others enter your life and teach. Some show you what you want. Some show you what you should never accept again. Some reveal wounds inside you that need healing. Some teach you boundaries. Some teach you patience. Some expose how much you were depending on human attention for your peace. And some bring you to a point where you finally understand that no person can occupy the place in your heart that belongs to Allah. Perhaps this person was never meant to become your spouse. Perhaps they were part of the road that prepared you to become a better spouse. Perhaps through the confusion, you learned how important communication is. Through their inconsistency, you learned to value consistency. Through waiting, you learned to value someone who knows what they want. Through heartbreak, you learned how much your heart needs Allah. Through letting go, you learned that losing a person does not mean losing yourself. And if Allah brings this person back later, you will see them differently. You will not only ask, "Do they still love me?" You will ask, "What has changed?" That question protects you. Because time passing does not automatically mean growth happened. Someone can return after 6 months and still be the same person. They can return with beautiful words. They can say they thought about you every day. They can tell you losing you made them understand your value. Maybe they mean it, but remember what you learned. Feelings are not enough. Look for evidence. Are they clearer now? Are they ready to take responsibility? Have they faced the obstacle they once hid behind? Have they become more serious about marriage? Have they grown in faith and character? Are they ready to involve the right people and move in a way that honors Allah? Or have they simply returned because they miss how you made them feel? There is a difference. Do not reopen an old door just because someone knocks louder this time. Look at who is standing outside. Have they changed? Has the situation changed? Has the direction changed? Because returning to the same person without anything changing often means returning to the same pain. And you have already learned that lesson. But what if they never return? Then your life continues. Read that again in your heart. Your life continues. You will still wake up. You will still pray. You will still grow. You will still laugh again. You will still have moments that make you grateful to be alive. You may meet people who change the way you understand love. You may look back years from now from a place of peace and finally understand why this chapter could not become the whole story. Right now, that may be difficult to imagine, because when you are standing inside a painful chapter, it feels like the entire book. It is not. You have not seen the ending. Do not decide that your future is empty simply because your present is uncertain. Allah can change your life faster than you imagine. A person you have never met can become important to you. A door you never considered can open. A dua you forgot making can be answered in a form you did not expect. Your heart can heal from something you once thought would stay with you forever. That is why you keep walking. Not because you know exactly where the road leads, because you know who guides the road. And sometimes letting go is what allows you to move. You were standing still because your heart kept looking backwards. Every step forward felt like betrayal. Every new possibility felt wrong because you were still emotionally loyal to a future that never became real. But eventually you understand. Moving forward does not erase what happened. It honors what you learned. You do not have to hate someone in order to leave the waiting behind. You do not need them to become a bad person so you can accept that they may not be your person. Maybe they were sincere. Maybe they loved you in the only way they knew how. Maybe they were fighting battles you never fully understood. You can have compassion for all of that and still move forward. You can say, I believe you cared about me, but caring was not enough to build what we needed. There does not always need to be a villain. Sometimes there are simply two people, real feelings, difficult circumstances, different levels of readiness, and a future that never became what they hoped. Acceptance can be that simple. And when you accept it, stop looking for someone to blame. Do not blame yourself for not being enough. Their hesitation does not define your worth. Someone can recognize your value and still not be ready to carry the responsibility that comes with choosing you. Do not spend years trying to become more beautiful, more successful, more patient, more understanding, or more perfect just to make someone certain. Improve yourself for Allah. Grow because growth is good. Heal because you deserve a healthier heart. Strengthen your character because you want to become a better Muslim and a better future spouse. But do not turn self-improvement into an attempt to earn someone's decision. You should not have to become perfect to be chosen. And neither should they. Marriage is not two perfect people finally finding each other. It is two imperfect people who are willing to take responsibility, grow, show mercy, and move toward Allah together. That willingness matters. So if someone wants a future with you but something keeps stopping them, let them face what is stopping them. Do not become responsible for removing every obstacle. If it is fear, they must face their fear. If it is immaturity, they must grow. If it is family pressure, they must decide how responsibly they can handle it. If it is financial difficulty, they must work toward what is realistic. If it is confusion, they must seek clarity. You can support. You can advise. You can make dua, but you cannot do their inner work for them. And while they are figuring themselves out, do not forget to live your own life. Do not become a waiting room for someone's transformation. You have your own journey with Allah, your own purpose, your own growth, your own family, your own responsibilities, your own dreams, your own akhirah. Keep moving. If your roads are meant to meet again, Allah knows how to bring them together. You do not need to stand still to make that possible. And if your roads never meet again, perhaps moving forward is exactly how Allah leads you toward what was waiting beyond them. This is where you begin to understand something beautiful. Letting go is not always losing. Sometimes letting go is making room. Room for peace. Room for healing. Room for clarity. Room for Allah to redirect you. You have been asking, what if I lose them? Maybe now ask, what if Allah is leading me somewhere I cannot see because I refuse to release what I already know? There may be a future waiting for you that would make your current fears look very small. Not necessarily an easier life, not a perfect person, not a marriage without tests, but something healthier, something clearer, something where love does not need to be constantly proven through pain. Something where you are not wondering every few days whether the person still wants you. Something built by two people who understand that marriage is not only about finding someone you feel strongly about, it is about becoming someone capable of carrying love responsibly. And maybe the person you are waiting for will become that person. If Allah wills, perhaps your paths will meet again. But until that day, you do not need to wait in emotional darkness. Leave the future where it belongs, with Allah. Say, Ya Allah, you know this heart better than I do. You know who I love, what I hoped for, what I imagined, and what I am afraid to lose. If this person is good for my deen, my dunya, my character, my peace, and my akhirah, bring us together in a way that pleases you. Give us courage where there is fear, clarity where there is confusion, and responsibility where there is hesitation. But if this connection is not good for me, do not let my attachment become stronger than your guidance. Remove from my heart what I need to release. Protect me from chasing what you are asking me to leave, and lead me toward what is better, even if I cannot understand it yet. Then trust. Not because you know what will happen, because Allah does. Maybe they will come back. Maybe they will not. Maybe the obstacle will disappear. Maybe you will eventually understand that the obstacle was protecting you. Maybe Allah will change them. Maybe He will change you. Maybe years from now you will look back and smile at how desperately you once tried to control a chapter that Allah was already using to lead you somewhere else. Whatever happens, do not allow uncertainty to become your permanent home. You were created for more than waiting for another human being to decide whether you belong in their future. Your life has purpose beyond this connection. Your worth existed before they noticed you. Your future exists whether they choose you or not. And Allah's mercy is not limited to one outcome. So if they want you, let them become clear. If they are serious, let seriousness produce action. If they are afraid, let them face their fear. If they need growth, let them grow. If they need time, let time reveal whether anything is truly changing. But you keep walking. You keep praying. You keep growing. You keep protecting your heart. You keep becoming the person Allah is calling you to become. Because sometimes the greatest answer is not hearing someone finally say, I choose you. Sometimes the greatest answer is reaching a place where your heart can finally say, Ya Allah, I choose your guidance over my attachment. I choose your wisdom over my imagination. And even if this story does not end the way I wanted, I trust you with what comes next. That is not the end of your story. That may be the moment your real direction finally becomes clear. Maybe they want a future with you. Maybe they truly care. But if something keeps holding them back, do not let their uncertainty hold your whole life back too. What is meant for you will come with clarity, responsibility, and a path that does not require you to lose yourself just to keep it alive. Trust Allah with the person. Trust Allah with the timing. Trust Allah with the ending. Because sometimes the greatest blessing is not that they finally choose you. It is that Allah gives you the strength to choose peace, dignity, and His plan over endless uncertainty. And when you do that, whatever is truly meant for you will never need to be chased.